Hello, hello. Happy Thursday, everyone. Today I wanted to do a video for you all and elaborate a little more on what alchemical hypnotherapy really is, and also kind of give you a little bit more of what I do aside from just the past life regression, ancestral lineage healing, and some of that stuff, and really what I do that helped me find my business name, which is Inner World Solutions. So, alchemical hypnotherapy is from the ancient alchemists, and it's about converting the lead and that really heavy stuff from our unconscious mind into the golden wisdom of fulfillment. So, really taking all that heavy and dense stuff and the stuff that we kind of store in our body and in that unconscious mind and bringing it to the forefront so that we can say, okay, this is what's happening and what you need to heal. We always need understanding to heal. So if we can go in and we can see what we're storing, where we're storing it, why we're storing it, from what time period was it there, and when did this belief system or this trauma start being created, then we are actually able to do the work and to change that into the golden wisdom of our own fulfillment. Taking that and being able to do that work has been amazing and healed so many people emotionally and physically and spiritually. Now, going into some other things that I personally really love about alchemical hypnotherapy is that it is mind, body, and spirit. And a lot of people think that if they sit down and they just simply think about what's going on in their mind, that it's going to solve it. But the problem is that our emotions are they're not stored in the mind. Our emotions are stored in the subconscious mind and a lot of the times the body. So going in this way into our inner world and our inner workings, which can sometimes feel a little bit scary because we feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to go in there and see all that. But realistically, when you get in there, it's not that scary. It's really freeing. It may be a little bit nerve-wracking, but part of being able to admit these things that we're holding on to and be able to let them go and have that freedom and that understanding and clarity really does help to make us feel fulfilled, especially if we're on a spiritual path and we know that there's work to do. And that's a huge part of doing that work, is being able to change ourselves, because changing ourselves is changing the world, right? That's where we really start to see the changes in everything, is when we change ourselves, when we get rid of these faulty belief systems that aren't serving us anymore, so that we can see the world in a new way that not only serves us in a better way, but serves the entire world, because we're going out in the world and we're spreading more light and joy and understanding more of the real solution for things. And we're not looking for as many problems, we're looking for more solutions. And that's a really, really powerful and beautiful thing to be able to do. It's really, really amazing when we start to kind of pick up that momentum and do that work. And hypnotherapy for me has been one of those things, as I've expressed to you guys. But I wanted to not just share past life regression and all those kinds of things. I really wanted to share some other different therapies that I offer, which are inner child work and inner mate work and inner parent work. Those are three really important ones that, for me, and for many different people have been kind of a key to knowing themselves on a deeper level. So inner child work, if you have any trauma, if you've had a really traumatic life, then you know that you need inner child work. If you're not sure, but you still have little bits of things like what I call a day in the life trauma, you get home every day and your mom never has time for you. What does that create? That creates a feeling of not being good enough. That creates a feeling of abandonment. That creates a feeling of disappointment. And it goes through life. Someone can go through life feeling like every time somebody doesn't have time for them, it's a trigger because of that day in the life trauma that inner wounded child that they still have inside is still carrying forward. And it's not just inner child, it's also the different stages that follow, which, inner teen. I personally have seen many people who still at this part of their life are acting from that wounded inner teenager. They're still making decisions from that place of, I'm going to rebel. I'm going to show them. We all know people who have that kind of mentality. As soon as something, they're going to show them. They're going to show them. And it's not a positive thing when they say, I'm going to show them, you watch. It's a revenge thing. It's a I'm going to take control thing before somebody else takes control. There's many facets of where that trauma and all these emotions get stored from these various different timelines and times in our lives, and what they make occur for us later on, and how, even though we think sometimes that we've dealt with a situation, there's still underlying facets and belief systems and layers of that emotional, I want to say, that emotional debris that's not really been able to really be cleared. And even if we think we clear it all the way emotionally, we still carry it physically, and it still becomes a trigger in that way. Now, talking about some of the inner mate stuff. So, inner mate is really about relationships. It's really about if we are someone who has been really codependent in a relationship, if we are someone who feels like I just pick the wrong people, I just attract the wrong people, I don't know how I'm doing this, I don't know why I'm doing this, and we have no clue why we keep going in this certain direction and why we can't see certain signs in the beginning, whatever it may be, or we mistake compatibility, or we don't put up boundaries. We let people walk on us because we think, it's better to have a partner. It's better to be comfortable in a relationship, even if I'm not all the way happy. There's many people who have been in these type of relationships, and then afterwards they, are dumbfounded. Like, how did I allow myself to get there? I don't want to do that again. I want to make sure that I attract someone this time where I know exactly what my worth is, and I do not settle for anything less. That's where inner mate relationships are really amazing, because you can go and do that work and solidify that inner voice inside yourself that says, no. And you can also go in and see all the different belief systems that led up to that, where you accepted less than you deserved or stayed in a relationship that really wasn't serving you. Being able to look at the different factors in why we do something helps us the next time we're faced with that same decision to make a different choice. And sometimes that's really such a powerful tool in our life, is to be able to really go in and do that reprogramming in the way of saying, I'm not going to live from that trauma anymore. I'm not going to keep making that choice because of that hurt and that pain. I cannot fill that void by putting more void in there. Now, the next and last different kind of thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about that I offer is the inner parent. So, inner parent, again, it almost ties into that inner child, but it's a little bit different because it can go back to that womb trauma and being put into doing a womb transplant where you're put into a womb that feels safe. Some people even do womb transplants or womb hypnosis to really understand and be safe. Some people don't feel they connect with their mother. Some people, they feel that, like, I don't know how I'm this person's child at all. I don't feel like I even understand anything about them. They end up needing to have that from the beginning time of conception, or growing in a womb. They need that safety, that groundedness, that assuredness, that maternal mother energy to be there for them in a way where they feel a strong connection, they feel a strong bond, they feel a strong sense of safety and assuredness that this is how they're coming into the world. Because if you didn't have that, it can create many different things. I'm actually going to do a video on that, I think next week, full video on womb trauma and also the ancestral lineage healing. But the other thing about inner parent work is that our parents are these people in our lives that they raise us, and there's almost no way for us to go through our life with our parents and never have things that they say to us or do while we're in their care affect us in ways where later on we go, oh, I kind of see some patterns there on how that really, really didn't do me very good as an adult. When our parents put belief systems in our head that they don't really understand that they're putting there, it's a huge trigger for us later. Everything that we believe, all this trauma that has been created, sometimes we don't even know it's trauma, sometimes we don't even know it's a belief, but we get triggered. It triggers things later in us, and it creates that snowball of and sometimes we react to something when that's triggered and we don't even really realize what just happened. We step back and are like, wait a minute. I didn't realize that was such a big deal to me. I didn't realize that one little thing could affect me as much as that just did. So inner parent relationships, sometimes we have people who really let us down, we don't feel that they are. Sometimes in a session, you can replace your inner parent with a guide or somebody that comes forth in the session, a guide of yours that feels more of a parent. Sometimes it's another family member that has been a parent for you, and you establish that this is what I'm going to follow, what I have learned from this exact person, instead of my certain father or mother that was my maternal or birth parent. So when you're able to do that, you set a new tone for yourself, and you can leave behind some of those belief systems and those things that aren't serving you from your parents. Also going in and being able to do etheric plane communication in those times. And etheric plane communication is talking to one's projected mental image and it's basically calling their higher self in to talk to you during a session. Sometimes later, I know my teacher actually talked about, he was in his certification actually, and learned about etheric plane communication, and did it with his father. And before that, his father was like, what are you doing? This stuff is, I'm not even, whatever. Very stoic man, never gave much away to him. And a few weeks later, after he did the etheric plane communication and told his dad's higher self and his dad's, projected mental image in that session how he felt, he received a letter from his dad stating how proud of him he was. And I've also had people do sessions and they communicate and they're like, whoa, this person in my family is actually acting different. It's literally like I maybe had this conversation with them. And part of that, I think, is also because we have a different energy moving forward, because we can release a lot by having those discussions in that space. But also on a spiritual and energetic level, I think people actually do get some of that. People actually can take away some of that when, even if, certain times people don't believe that that can happen, well, energetically, any energy can be sent and received. So it is possible. Now, all these different things are inner world things. So our inner world is a place that exists inside of us. It is our belief systems. It is our trauma. It is our wounds. It is our triggers. It is our inner garden, our inner wealth as well. If we can go in there and plant seeds that grow into fulfillment and knowledge and richness out of the soil that was once trauma, it feels amazing to be able to go in there later after we've done this work and go into a space of seeing your magical inner child. That's something I forgot to mention, is we have a day in the life child, which is, like I said, the day in the life trauma, or we have the very wounded inner child. And then we also have a magical inner child. We have a magical inner child that is the inner child that is able to show us the parts of ourselves from an inner child stance that are still magical inner children, that are still living in a place of positive, radiant childhood, and being able to feel that joy of being a child again and playing, and really playing in our lives as adults, and bringing that in so that we still feel the same joy that we felt as a child, and that same excitement and that same vivacious, amazing feeling for life. Because sometimes it's really easy for us to feel like that might have disappeared, especially with the doldrum kind of parts of adulthood. But those parts of us are still there. And a lot of times it needs to be awoken again, because that magical inner child has been sat down and kind of left somewhere waiting for us to go and find that inner child and say, hey, no, I need you. I appreciate you. I want you to be a part of me. I want you to show me and speak to me and reflect outwardly what I need at times. Our inner child is a huge part of our inner voice, and oftentimes our outer voice. So learning how to honor our inner child and know what our inner child needs at different times is a beautiful way to be in touch with those different parts of ourselves, as well as our inner mate and our inner parent relationships. And there are different facets of each and different dynamics of each that come into play. But knowing how important our inner world is and how alchemical hypnotherapy can put us in touch with those parts of ourselves, be able to heal things that are kind of sitting stocked away, or even right there at the surface of the subconscious mind that still is not exactly all the way rising, and being able to tie in mind, body, and spirit all together to resolve an issue and a sense of wholeness. Thank you guys so much for watching another video of mine this week. If you have any questions, comments, also any new ideas for videos are so appreciated. You guys are all amazing, amazing souls, and I appreciate all of you. Until next time.